Okay, here we go. So we're about 10 lines down from the bottom, which is at the two dots. I believe, I think we're up to here. It's not, yeah, it's about 12 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Noisin law, Mimoyis Kaput Kaya. If the marriage happened in Kaput Kaya, and that's where the commitment was made of Ksuba, so then the commitment was made in the higher value dollars of Kaput Kaya. Kasover Ksuba Daraisa. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel holds you don't always use the lesser dollar because he holds the Chiyuv of Ksuba Daraisa, and therefore the commitment is valid and binding. Taner Rabban, Hamot Yishtar Chayv al Chaver. What if one finds a shtar chayv? So he pulls a shtar chayv to collect with it, and kosev boy, it says it is bava, which means that that's where it was written. So therefore, magveyu mi mois bava. So when you collect bavel currency. Kosev boy Eretz Yisrael. What if it says Eretz Yisrael in the shtar? That means the commitment was made in Eretz Yisrael. Magveyu mi mois Eretz Yisrael. What if it's Kosev boy Stam? What if it doesn't say what country it was from? Then Haitziyu beBavel, Magveyu mimois Bavel. Haitziyu be'Eretz Yisrael, Magveyu mimois Eretz Yisrael. Depends on where the collection is occurring. What if it said Kosev boy Kesef Stam, but it didn't say what type of Kesef? So let's see if there's Rashi on it. Kosev kesef stam meya kesef. V'loy pirish. It didn't say it was shloim and dinorim and pejoinim. It just says meya kesef, but there's many different types of coins of kesef that it could be. So the halach is mashiyir tzaloy v'magveyu. Hamoytzim mechaver al haraya. The loiva can give whatever he wants. Masha enkem b'ksubos. So the Brisa says this word. Ksuba is different. The question is, where is ksuba different? It's definitely not different from the last halacha that you give the lesser if you don't know what it says, then you cannot collect more than the bare minimum. So what does the Brisa mean when the Brisa says Mashayk and B'ksub? Ahaya. What part of the halachas mentioned earlier is it referring to? Amar of Mashashar Reisha. It's going on the Reisha. So the Reisha says, Hamoch Yishtachayv al-Chaveri, Kasav al-Bavel Magvei B'Bois Bavel, but ksuba doesn't work that way. Ksuba, you can always give the lower quantity, whether it's at the place of the commitment or if it's at the place of the collection. So this will tell us that this Brisa does not hold like Rab Shimon ben Gamliel, who holds it's ksuba deraisa. Zok the head of the Morvite. Kasud boy kesef stam. What if it just says kesef, but it doesn't say what type of coin it is? Whatever the loiva wants to do, they can give. Maybe it's not a coin at all. Maybe just nuggets of silver. It says matpeya. So maybe just small prutos. Since it itemizes that it's silver, we know it cannot be priti because prutos are never made out of silver. Now we're getting to the Agadita that will bring us to the end of this chapter. Beautiful, beautiful Agadita. Tanu Rabbanan. La'olam yider adam be'eretz Yisrael. A person should always live in Eretz Yisrael. Afilu be'ir sheruba oived gechavim. You're better off living in Chevron, in Ramallah, Val Yida v'chutz la'aretz, but not in Lakewood. Afilu be'ir sheruba Yisrael. You're better off living in Eretz Yisrael, surrounded by goyim, better than in Chutz La'aretz, Yisrael. Now, of course, it doesn't mean if it's a sakana. It just means even if it's a goyish city, but the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael is dominant. Shechalador be'Eretz Yisrael. Anybody who lives in Eretz Yisrael, doime kemish yesh lo elokah. It's like he has a Rebbeinu Shalom. V'chalador v'chutz La'aretz, doime kemish ein lo elokah. It's like he doesn't have a God. Shenamar, because it says in the pasuk. And then it says, So you see, when do we have Elakim? Only in Eretz Canaan. Frank Gemara, that's not logical to say. I'm sorry. The Bryce itself is talking. This is not logical to say. Can you claim that someone who doesn't live in Eretz Yisrael does not have a God? That's impossible to say that that's pshat. Rather, a different pasuk the Bryce is going to bring that someone who lives in Chutz La'aretz, it's like he's doing avodah zarah. The Chain b'David hu Omer. By David it says. Now what happened is David was being pursued by Shaul, and at one point David HaMelech was able to sneak in to a cave where Shaul was sleeping. His guards, obviously, his sentries, obviously, were doing their job, and he took the chanis, he took a spear that belonged to Shaul, and he took some water that belonged to Shaul, and then he went across the valley to the next mountaintop, and he called across the mountaintop to Abner, "What is your problem? You're not watching the king properly. Because if you were watching the king properly, look, he's missing the spear. Who took the spear? Obviously, you're not doing a good job." And then David HaMelech told Shaul HaMelech, again screaming from the distance, why are you running after me to kill me? You see that I had an opportunity to kill you, and I didn't do anything. But they said, no, you're in trouble. We're going to come after you. So that means David HaMelech was forced to run away from Eretz Yisrael. And he said, Ki gershuni hayoim meyistapeach b'nachlos Hashem. You chased me away from drengzich, from being in the Nachal of Hashem. Lamer, you're telling me, lech avoid Elohim acher. Frag the Gemara, b'chimi Amar Laila David lech avoid Elohim acher. No one told David to go do avodah zarah. All they're doing is chasing him out of Eretz Yisrael. Elohim malach kol ador b'chutz la'aretz ki ilu oived avodas kacham. It's as if he's oived avodas kacham because he's not focused on the Rebbeinu Shalom. He's away from the Rebbeinu Shalom as well. Rab Zera have a kamishtamet minei Rabbi Yehuda the boy l'meisek l'Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Yehuda was at the Tur Karta, and he held you're not allowed to live in Eretz Yisrael. But Rab Zera wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael, so he had to say goodbye to Rabbi Yehuda, but he wanted to avoid Rabbi Yehuda because Rabbi Yehuda wouldn't let him go. Why wouldn't he let him go?
To the character don't hold that you're not allowed to live in Eretz Yisrael.
The Amar Rabbi Yehuda, I can't live in the Tur Karta. The Amar Rabbi Yehuda, kol ha'olam miBavel l'Eretz Yisrael. If you go from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, over b'asei, the Satan Merov got the Matunish one in Eretz Yisrael. No, after the Muhammad also. Yeah. Because he held the time. I'm going to go through the sheet now. I spent most of the night reviewing the Satan Merov Shiva. The Amar Rabbi Yehuda, over b'asei. If you go from Bavel to Eretz, you're over to say, what's that say? It says, Bavela, Yuvo, you should come to Bavel, which is the Golos, Vishama Yiyu, Ad Yoim Pakti, Oisam, Nom Hashem. And there you're going to be until I take you out of Golos. So the Torah is saying, the Navi is saying, don't go back to Eretz Yisrael. You must remain in Golos. The problem is, this Gemara happened after Churban Bayis Sheni. The pasuk that we're quoting is after Churban Bayis Rishon. Zok Toisus, Afal the Ikra, the Golos Rishon Tiv, Yeshloimer the Begolos Sheni Nami Kapit Kra. There's a akpada that we shouldn't go back to Eretz Yisrael. We're in Golos. Rab Zera. So Ibazoi, if you have such a pasuk, why was Rab Zera trying to go to Eretz Yisrael? So that pasuk is just telling us that the Kleisharis aren't going to be out of Eretz Yisrael until then the Begolos. But about that person can go live in Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Yehuda, what about Rabbi Yehuda? If it's referring to Kleisharis, so how is Rabbi Yehuda going to know that you cannot go live in Eretz Yisrael? Because he had another pasuk, and this is a pasuk in Shir Shirim. Ishbati eschem b'noishu shaloyim b'tzvoy so be'elas esada. I don't have the Gemara brought that, the Psukim brought down in my Gemara, so I'm going to just pull up a Shir Shirim, which is where this is found. And I'm going to read the pasuk. This pasuk is mentioned multiple times. Hishpati eschem b'noishu shalayim. I think it's 3 times, 4 times or 3 times. with the fullness of. Ishbati eschem b'nois Yerushalayim. I'm bashvering you. I'm making you swear b'nois Yerushalayim. B'tzvoyos or ba'elos esoda, which the Gemara can tell us means in the deer and the rams of the field, and we're going to see what that means in a minute. Im ta'iru ve'im ta'iru. If you are ma'ir yourself to come back as a hava, to come back the love of the Rebbeinu Shalom, you're separated now. Don't come back. Don't be ma'ir that a hava. Don't reconnect till the Rebbeinu Shalom wants to take us out of the goals. So this is what this pasuk says. This pasuk was mentioned 3 times. The exact pasuk is mentioned 3 times in Shir Hashir. So the Gemara tells us, which tells you that you're not supposed to go up to Eretz Yisrael. You're not supposed to go out of the Golos. You're not supposed to be ma'ir to love once again. We're supposed to remain distant. Rab Zeir, so how could Rab Zeir go to Eretz Yisrael? Hahu shalayalu Yisrael b'chayma. This is the big stickle. What does it mean shalayalu Yisrael b'chayma? There are those who dash in kichayma. It means with strength, with power. But Rashi says shalayalu b'chayma yachad b'yot chazaka. You shouldn't go up individually. A yid's allowed to go, but all of Klal Yisrael together shouldn't go and take over with strength. And this is where the whole shaila is as to whether or not you're allowed to take over Eretz Yisrael. But we're going to get there. Let's just finish the sugya, and then I'm going to go through the opinions. Okay, so this is a very pivotal Rashi, an important Rashi. Because many times throughout the generations, people went up there to Yisrael. Because it's yachad v'yad chazaka. It's only if we go en masse with a strong hand, taking it over, which is actually what we've done. So let's see what the Gemara says weiter. Rab Zeira hayu shalayalu Yisrael b'chayma. Rab Yehuda, how's Rab Yehuda going to know shalayalu Yisrael b'chayma? Lo from mishpati achrinaksiv. Like I mentioned, this pasuk is mentioned 3 times. Rab Zeira, even the other Ishpati, Hamibayla, the Rab Yosy, Rab Chanina, the Omar Gimel Shavuos Halolu Lama. Why is this pasuk mentioned 3 times? So there's 3 Shavuos that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mashbiach B'noi Yerushalayim, Achash Shalayalu Yisrael B'chayma. These are the famous Shalosh Shavuos. The Achash Shashbiach HaKadosh Baruch Hu es Yisrael Shalayimradu B'umay Sa'ila. We are not allowed to rebel. We're not allowed to rebel against Umas Olam. We have to accept that we're in Golos. The Achash Shashbiach HaKadosh Baruch Hu es Oivdik HaChavim. The Rebbeinu Shalom said, I'm also being Mashid Oivdik HaChavim, Shalo Yishtabdu Ben B'Yisrael Yosy V'dai. Don't be too hard on Klal Yisrael. And most of them are forced to say, because if you're going to be too hard on Klal Yisrael, I'm going to have Rachmanas on them. And you're going to force me to take them out of Golos early, which is also a problem. Rabbi Yehuda, how is Rabbi Yehuda going to know all these? Im ta'iru v'im ta'iru ksiv. Each of the psukim say im ta'iru v'im ta'iru, which means there's 2 shavuos included in each pasuk. So there's 6. Again, we haven't accounted for all of them, but we have enough to learn Rabbi Yehuda's drush as well, that a person shouldn't go up there to Israel. Rab Zeira, mi boile lechad Rab Levi. Rab Zeira needs it for Rab Levi, the Amar. Rab Levi said, Sheish Shavuos halal lama. There's 6 Shavuos, 3 psukim, and 2 Shavuos per pasuk. Im ta'iru ve'im ta'iru. Tlos hahani da'amar. The 3, like we said, shalayala b'chayma, shalayimar debum s'olam, and if the chavim should not be mishtabed with as yoyser midai. And inich, the rest, the other 3 are shloigalos haketz. We're not allowed to say when Mashiach is going to come. Most of us don't know. But even if you're Moshe Sharf, you shouldn't say. Even if you do know, you shouldn't say. And you shouldn't push it off by trying to bring it closer. This is one of the things that Talmud ever said. By going to Eretz Yisrael and thinking you have Aschalos Hagula, you're actually pushing it off. And you're being over another shul. And there are those who learn that a shlo yidchaku as a case, which means you shouldn't be mispalel yoysim midai. You're not supposed to daven too strong because it's forcing Hashem's hand. Let's see Rashi. For Shaloyichu Zaketz Bavoinam, don't do a verse. Lishnachrina, Shal Yitchu Garsin Loshan Doichik, Shal Yirbu B'Tachanunum Al Kach, Yosy Midai. So, and the Lubavitch Rebbe holds this is also Oitzkalton that you're not supposed to push too hard. I'm not sure what we want Mashiach now means. What? But you can't pressure the Rebbeinu Shalom to bring it. And then the last one is the Shalayiglu Hasoid Lev Chavim, and Rashi says we're speaking about the soid either of Ibor or different soidis HaTorah that shouldn't be shared with the Goyim. And this is the scary part. What does the pasuk say? B'tzvoi be'elis esada. What is the einish if one violates the shvuos? Rachmanu l'tzlam. Amar Rabbi Lozer. Amar Hakadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. Imatem mekayim shvuah mutav. If you'll fulfill the shvuos, you're going to be okay. Imlav ani matir es pesarchem. I will make hefker your meat. Kitzvois uchaelis esada. Like the wild animals, like the deer and the rams of the field. Zok tesat mereba. There's no suffix that the reason why the Holocaust happened is because the Tzionim were over on the Shalosh Shavuos and they were Oila B'Chaim. I'm sorry? What is it? So what is that? Yeah, okay. So this is a huge zach. So there was a big shaila. Of course, the Aguda sort of supported the Mizrahi to go to Eretz Yisrael. Not only that, even though the Belzer Rebbe originally was very against the Tzionim, he moved to Eretz Yisrael. He went to Eretz Yisrael. Satmar Rebbe was very against Belz. Kloisenberg went to Eretz Yisrael. All these Chassidisin that went to Eretz Yisrael, the Satmar Rebbe held that they were following the Minus. They were following to a Shabbat Tzvi movement. And the Satmar Rebbe held that it was 100% usher. So there's a lot of different trials that come out about it. One of the tiniest that the Tziyonim say is we weren't Oila B'Chaima. They use a lotion that this is like Koresh when he let Klal Yisrael come up to build the Beis Hamikdash. This is mamish like Koresh, and Koil Doi. They quote the pasuk called Doidi Hine Doifek, meaning your Rebbeinu Shalom is coming and inviting us back to Yisrael. This is Min HaShamayim. This is not called being Oila B'Chaim. Because we're going with the permission of the nations. So that's what the Aguda, the Tziyonim were saying. And the Satmar Rebbe said, two kashas he had. He said, first of all, he said, if you're telling me you're allowed to go up when you have permission from the Goyim, well then, why do I need the Shvuah of Lo Yalu B'Chaim? I already have the Shvuah of Shelo Yimar Debo Mos'olim. So if I have the Shvuah of Lo Yimar Debo Mos'olim, then if I would go up against their will, that would be a merida. So I don't need a third shvuah. Vaisdosh, the third shvuah is even if they are giving me permission. That was one of the times of the Satmar Rebbe. The other time of the Satmar Rebbe was that who is the UN to give permission? Who are they? What koyach do they have? They're not Sanhedrin. If the people who live in Eretz Yisrael, they gave us permission, that would be called maybe getting permission. But the UN, who are they? And he also said that even after they passed the Balfour Declaration, it was not adopted by the U.S. The U.S. wanted it to remain in a stewardship under the League of Nations. So the Satmar Rebbe held that we never had a right to go to Eretz Yisrael, and he held that all the people who went to Zapi courses, and the fact that absolutely nobody supported him, told him that he has to double down, because if he doesn't double down, Chas v'Sholom, the tzaris that will happen because of being over on the Shalosh Shavuos will be catastrophic. Now, what happened was when the Zionism movement started, everybody was on board. I mean, Reb Meir Simcha writes, he writes in his Ksavim that this is called Doidi Hine Doifek. This is the Rebbeinu Shalom calling us back. This is the end of the goals. But what happened is that was by the first gathering of the Zionist movement. But the second gathering of the Zionist movement, they made it very clear that this is not a Torah movement. This is a nationalistic movement and they wanted to be completely secular because they passed a resolution that no Rabbanim can sit on any governing body in the Zionist movement. So once the Gedolei Hador saw that, everybody abandoned the Tzionim, and they all wrote kuntrasim to share their opinion. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe at the time wrote very, very similar to the Satmar Rebbe, and this is all before the war. But as the war started getting hot, a lot of people felt that the right thing is to go to Eretz Yisrael, where we have some level of protection. Again, some Rebbe holds that the 29 riots in Eretz Yisrael, where the Talmidim and Hebron got killed, that was all because of violation of the Shua. But other Gedolim held that no, this is called Doidi Hine Doifik, Rebbeinu Shalom is bringing us back. And after the war, most of the Gedolim changed to say it's good to go to Eretz Yisrael. The Satmar Rebbe held that since it's very secular, it's apikurosis, it's very dangerous. And what he said was he actually made a cherem in his city. He was the Rav in Krula. He made a cherem on anyone who would have anything to do with the Zionists. And in Krula itself, the Mizrahi opened up a besmedrash, and he made a line in the sand. He said it's also to have anything to do with them, and it's also to have anything to do with Aguda, because he held that they're worse than the Zionists, because the Zionists are not Shemar Torah mitzvahs. They're not a danger. They're not a danger to anybody, because no one's going to connect to a group that's not Shemar Torah mitzvahs. But you have people who are Shemar Torah mitzvahs that are pro going to Eretz Yisrael now and being over in the Shalosh Shavuos. That's extremely, extremely dangerous. So that was the shayla. The other shayla that's brought down is these Shalosh Shavuos, are they la halacha? The Rambam does not bring them down la halacha. So maybe it's just a hashkafa de gezach. So mehechatesa bechlal is la halacha. So the Satmar Rebbe says that the reason why it's not mentioned in the Rambam la halacha because the Rambam only mentioned things that were negeya in his time, but in those days it wasn't negeya anyway going back to Eretz Yisrael, so he wouldn't have mentioned it. But in the Igreis Temon, which are the letters that the Rambam wrote, going connected false Mashiachs and telling people to stay true to Yiddishkeit, there he does mention it. But many people say, since the Rambam doesn't mention it, then it's not a lach, it's a hashkafa de gezach. The Torah is telling us we're going to have a long, hard golus, but not that there's actually a halacha that you're not allowed to go back. So there's even a shayla b'chalal if lo yala b'chayme is a halacha dekadin or not. It's also a big tumult in the Rabbanim of those times, if it's in halacha dekazach or if it's just like a nevuah of some type. And another fascinating thing is that after the Holocaust, the Olim believed that there was a churban, the golus was churv. And they held that since the shvuah, that the goyim shouldn't be mishabaras Yosy Medai, since the goyim didn't stick to that shvuah, that now nullifies, because they don't learn it the Torah halacha. They learned that this is how the Rebbe made the goals. This is how Hashem wanted to structure the goals. Once Hashem made it that we were nishtabed Yosy Medai, so that means it's over. And the goal, they actually learned there was a churban golus. The golus was chorv, because never in the history of Yiddishkeit was there such a shchita on Yidden in the golus. The entire golus was wiped out. I believe a third of Klal Yisrael was wiped out. So they held that the golus was chorv, and this is mamish the beginning of Mashiach. But most of the Gedolim said that this cannot be the beginning of Mashiach, because Mashiach is going to come when Klal Yisrael does tshuva, and Mashiach's not going to bring us back with their chateva. It's going to be with their chnes goli. So this, going back before Klal Yisrael the tshuva, cannot possibly be sanctioned by the Rebbeinu Shalom, and the day Adam to go back and take it over is also not how Bias HaMashiach is. Bias HaMashiach is going to be with Afin and Moivsim and Nisim, and therefore anybody who could consider this as the beginning of moving towards the Geula is Lapikoris. I think that's the basic gist of the different opinions that are offered. It's just funny, because you don't expect the Yeshiva Gedolim to be so Zionistic. But Rav Meir Simcha is quoted as writing that Kol Doidi Hine Doifik, The Rebbeinu Shalom's knocking by bringing us back to Eretz Yisrael, by opening up, by the fact that the nations of the world wanted to give Klal Yisrael this homeland. That's the Rebbeinu Shalom inviting us back in. Therefore, we have to go, and we have to be mishtatif, and we have to bring as much Torah as possible to Eretz Yisrael. Yeah. So let's see the Gemara right. This was a fascinating Gemara. So where are we up to now? Omer Rabbi Lozer Kazat. Kalador Beretz Yisrael. Whoever lives in Eretz Yisrael, Shori B'lei Oven. He lives without Averis, because Eretz Yisrael is Machaper. Shenemar Uval Yomer Shachan Chalisi. Don't say if you live in Eretz Yisrael that it's too congested and crowded here. Rather, Ha'am or Chalisi Ha'am, I think it goes together. If you look at Rashi over here. Well, Shachan Chalisi. Don't say Shachan Chalisi, because Ha'am HaYoshev, because the nation that lives in Eretz Yisrael, Nasu Avai, their Averis are Nischaper. So, Fakert, it's Kavaltic to live in Eretz Yisrael. Amalei Rabba Rabashi. So Rabba told Rabashi, you don't have a raya from there that it's Eretz Yisrael, that's Noisi Oven, Anan Besoiv Le Chaloyim Masninala. We touch Chalisi Am, Shachan Chalisi means, don't say I'm sick, so it's terrible. Fakert, the sickness that a person goes through is Mechaper Averis. It's not referring to Eretz Yisrael. Omar Rabbanan said, Kol HaKaver Be'eretz Yisrael, Enu Nezoicha to be buried in Eretz Yisrael, Ki Ilu Kaver Tachas HaMizbech, is like he's buried underneath the Mizbech, and the significance of that is the offer underneath the Mizbech, is offer of Karbonis that was Mechaper. So it means you're buried in the place of Kapar. So you see that the being buried in Eretz Yisrael is a Kapara. Ula Avarogel, to have a solid Eretz Yisrael. Ula used to come regularly to Eretz Yisrael for different inyanim. He came for a different inyanim. I think even Rashi says why he came. No, Rashi doesn't say, but he would come on a regular basis. And noch nafshe b'chutzlaretz. When he died, he was in chutzlaretz. Also, Amar leila Rabbi Lozer. They told Rabbi Lozer that Ula died in chutzlaretz. Amar. So Rabbi Lozer said, "Ant Ula, you Ula were cursed because aladama tameya tamas." The pasuk, which is a curse, it's a pasuk in Amos. Rashi says. So does it the side say, but the side probably knows it from Rashi. Al Adam is tameya tamas. It happened to you, Ula. You died in Chutz La'aretz. Amalei, they told him, his urn is coming, they're bringing him up there to Yisrael. There's no comparison to someone who is already in Eretz Yisrael while he's alive, compared to someone who's only shipped in a box. Hahu Gavra, the Nafla Yavama Bechuza. There was a Yitim Eretz Yisrael, and his brother died without children, and he had a Chiyav Yivam in Bechuza. Also, the Chamedi Rab Chanina, he went to Rab Chanina. Amalei Maula Mechas Liyavma. Can I go down out of Eretz Yisrael to do evil on her? Amalei. So look what Rab Chanina told him very sharp. Ochiv Nasa Kusus Umeis. Your brother married a Kusus and died. He didn't really marry a Kusus. He lived in Eretz Yisrael, and Rab Chanina described that he married a Kusus. Baruch HaMokim Shaharga. The benches the Rebbeinu Shalom that they killed him. Well, who Yerid Acharab? Now you want to go follow? Don't go. So this is a little bit difficult. So he's not going to go bail out the Aguna. I'm not sure. Maybe he made her come to. Maybe he was going to force her to come to him. Just like it's also to go from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. Kach also lotzes mi Bavel l'shar ratzos. Bavel is also a Makam Torah. So you're not allowed to go from Bavel to Shar Ratzos. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I got. I'm sorry? That's what it says. That's what it says. Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef, the Army Tavayu, Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef sit together. Even from Pumbedisa, which was a Makam Torah, to Beikuvi, which wasn't. Someone did do that. Shamte Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef put him in the chayyim. Who did not make Pumbedisa last Stunya, which is also from a Makam Torah to not a Makam Torah. Shachavi died. Amar Abaye said, if he would have wanted, he could have lived by not moving out. It depends on what you're going for, I guess. Rabbi Yosef Damri Tavayu, Ksherin Shebavel, the kosher people in Bavel, Eretz Yisrael Kol Tolson, Eretz Yisrael will hold them. We're going to see what Kol Tolson means shortly. Ksherin Shebeshaya Ratzois, the Ksherin of other lands, Bavel Kol Tolson. So Lamai, what does Kol Tolson mean? Kol Tolson means it contains them. Ilema L'Yuchsin, if it means L'Yuchsin, meaning that the Ksherim of Bavel are going to even be considered kosher in Eretz Yisrael, it's the opposite. Yomar Mar Kol Aratzis Isal Eretz Yisrael. All lands is not considered pure yichus compared to the yichus of people in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael Isal Bavel, and Eretz Yisrael doesn't come to Bavel, meaning the yuchsin in Bavel are more defined and clarified and reliable than they are in Eretz Yisrael. Ella, what it must mean is Inyan Kvura. It means Inyan Kvura. People from Bavel go send their bodies to Eretz Yisrael to bury, and people further away will send their bodies to Bavel to bury. Amar Bida, Kaladar beBavel, Ki'ilu Dar be'Eretz Yisrael. If you live in Bavel, it's like you live in Eretz Yisrael. Shenemar Hoy Tzion, Himolti, Yoisheves Bas Bavel. Yeah, hello Tzion, you'll be saved, the people who live in Bavel. So you see, Bavel is referred to with the word Tzion. Omar Bai, Naktina we know. Bavel loichazi chevloi de Mashiach. The suffering that we're going to have before Mashiach will not happen in Bavel. Tirgama Ahutzel de Binyamin. It wasn't all of Bavel, it was one city called the Hutzel of Binyamin. The Karilei, and when Mashiach comes, and everyone sees that people from this city didn't suffer the Chevel Mashiach, they're going to rename the city of Karna the Shizbasa, the corner of saving, the corner that saved people from the Chevel Mashiach. Amar Belazar, Mesim Shebechutz Lords Enim Chayim. People who are buried in Chutz Lords, they will not stand up for Tchisa Mesim. Shenemar, like it says in the pasuk, but Nesati Tzvi be'Eretz Chayim, and we learn from here, Eretz Tzvi Nebo, the land that I love, Nesati Tzvi, the land that I love, meaning Eretz Yisrael, there, Ba Mesa Chayim. Only there will the Mesim come back. Shein Tzvi Nebo, Ein Mesa Chayim. Most of our Baba B'Mamel, what are you talking about? We have a different pasuk that says, Yichyu Meisecha, Nivlosi Yikumen. My love, there's like a double lotion here. What's shot in the pasuk? Yichyu Meisecha are Meishim Sheba Eretz Yisrael. Nivlosi Yikumen is Meishim Sheba Chutz La'aretz. So you have a pasuk, in fact, that Avada there's going to be Tchis HaMeisim in Chutz La'aretz. It says a pasuk when Nesati Tzvi Beretz Chaim, but what is that referring to? Umayv Nesati Tzvi Beretz Chaim. That's referring to a Nebuchadnezzar who dixit. It's saying I'm going to put Nebuchadnezzar on Eretz Chaim. Rashi says Eretz Yisrael is Eretz Chaim because it's a place where there are shvokim. There's markets that makes life, and Nebuchadnezzar swooped in quickly like a tzvi, like a deer. So that's what that pasuk is talking about. It's not speaking about Chisa Beis. Domer Rachmana Ma'asina Layu Malka the Kol Kitofi. I'm going to bring you a king, a bad king that's swift like a deer. Omer Rabbi Mikra Achar Ani Darish. I have a different pasuk that I darshan to say that is not going to be Chisa Mesim in Chutz La'aretz. It says in the pasuk, Noishin Neshama La'am Oleha V'ruach Laholchem Bo. I'm going to give a neshama to the people who are in this land, and a ruach to those who are in this land. So let's see. I believe Rashi says over here, La'am Oleh al Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael is where Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to give ruach and neshama to the dead people. We have a pasuk that says that there will be, we have another pasuk already that says that in Eretz Yisrael there's going to be Chisa Mesim. So that's talking about Nephilim, I guess children who died young. That's what the pasuk was talking about to tell us that even they're going to have Chisa Mesim. But people of Chutz La'aretz are not necessarily going to have Chutz La'aretz. For Rabbi Bar Mamel, who holds Avada, they will be Chisa Mesim in Chutz La'aretz. Hi, Noishin L'Shama La'amala, my Avilay. What did you do with that pasuk? He boy the Chadir Avo, he'll use it for Bavo. Even a Shivcha Knainis who dies in Eretz Yisrael, Muftach Law Shehi Bas Olam Haba. Even Shilded Olam Haba. Ksefach La'am Alel, Ksefasam Shvulachem Poi So you see, even an Eved or a Shivcha is going to have Olam Haba if they are in Eretz Yisrael. The Ruach La'ilcham Bo, and the Ruach for those who go in Eretz Yisrael. Amay B'Yirmiyah Bar'aba Amar Beichanu, from Ruach La'ilcham Bo we Kedarshin Kol Mahalach Arba Amos B'Eretz Yisrael. If you walk 4 Amos in Eretz Yisrael, Muftach Loi Shehu Ben Olam Haba, Shehu Ben Ha'olam Haba. It's Muftach Li Ben Olam Haba. Rabbi Lozer, what about Rabbi Lozer? Tzadikim shebechutz la'aretz einam chayim. Right? Rabbi Lozer said there's not chis meisam chutz la'aretz. Is that true? How could Rabbi Lozer say there's not going to be chis meisam chutz la'aretz? Rabbi Loi is Rabbi Loi al yidei gilgul. What it means is their bodies are going to have to roll and have huge tsar because they're not going to have chis meisam and chutz la'aretz. Their bodies are going to rash as misgalgul hatzomois at Eretz Yisrael. The bones of the people are going to roll to Eretz Yisrael. The chayin shom. So we'll all be zoichet at chis meisam. We're just going to have to sustain a grueling journey. Our bones are going to roll to Eretz Yisrael. Matzkav Rabba Salah, Rabba Gilgul tzadikim tzaru. Gilgul is a big tzar for tzadikim. Why would they get tzar to tzadikim? Amar Abaye mechila is nasas lemekarka. For the tzadikim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make tunnels, and they're going to be able to walk in the tunnels. They'll be able to walk in the tunnels to Eretz Yisrael. Rashi says, Mechilas Nasalem Bekaka, V'oimdim al Ragleim, they'll be able to stand on their feet. V'hoichin b'mechilas ad Eretz Yisrael, they're going to walk underground in tunnels to Eretz Yisrael. V'sham mevatzvitzim v'yoyitzim, and they're going to literally sprout out of the ground in Eretz Yisrael. So I'm not sure where they're going to become. The Tchis HaMeis is not happening in Chutz La'aretz. So their dead skeletons are going to walk, something like that, and then they're going to just sprout out of the ground. You know, people are dying to find out. Who said that? Yaakov Avinu said that. Omar Karna said, Dvarim Bagav. This is something, Rashi Yeshkan, Dvarim Misusarim B'Dover. These are stirdik. Because Yaakov Avinu should tell the Gomer. Yaakov knew he was a tzaddik Gomer. And if all the Mesim Chutz La'aretz are going to live and they're going to walk to Eretz Yisrael, so why would he make everybody schlep him? Lama etriach es banov. Why would he be matriach his children to schlep him back to Eretz Yisrael? Let him be buried in Mitzrayim, and there's no issue. Zok the Gemara, you know why? He was afraid he would do Averis, and he wouldn't be Zoicha to be like Tzadikim Gemurim to walk in the tunnels. With Yosy. Yosef is B'nai Yisrael that they should take him out of Mitzrayim. Amar Chanina, the Var Magav. You know Yosef Ba'atzma Tzadik Gomer Hoya. Yosef knew he was a Tzadik Gomer. Then Beisim Shebechus L'Tzchaim Lo Mitriach Hazech of Arba Meis Parsa. Why would he be Mitriach his brothers to schlep him so far back to Yisrael? Because Shemel Yisrael Mechilos. Sholchalei Achui LeRabba. Rabba had brothers who lived in Eretz Yisrael. Rabba lived in Baba. So his brother sent him a message to encourage him to move to Eretz Yisrael. And they told him the following. In other words, if Yaakov himself was worried that he's not going to have the Mechilos, you're so confident, maybe it's time for you to move to Eretz Yisrael. Ilfa said that there was more in the letter that they sent Rabba to convince him to move to Eretz Yisrael. There was someone who fell in love with a woman and he wanted her, but the problem is she didn't live in Eretz Yisrael. He so badly wanted to go to marry her. Since he heard how bad it is to live in Chutz La'aretz, he pushed it off and restrained himself from marrying the woman of his dreams till the day he died. Unbelievable. So they told Rabbah, even though you're a great chacham, nevertheless, there's no comparison between someone who learns by himself and someone who learns from a Rebbe. You can come to Eretz Yisrael and learn from a Rebbe. And if you're going to tell me you don't have a Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael, yes, you have a Gavaltic Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael, Umani Rabbi Yochanan. And if you're not going to come to Eretz Yisrael, be careful with 3 things: problems that will arise in Chutz La'aretz, but will not arise in Eretz Yisrael. And some of Farshim say because the land of Eretz Yisrael is machaper, it's also going to protect us from these conditions. Number one is al tarba yeshiva. Don't sit too long. She yeshiva kasala tachtayis. If you sit too long, it causes problems down there. Hemorrhoids. Al tarba ba'amida. Don't stand too much either. Sha'amida kasha l'leiv. Standing too long is not good for the heart. Al tarba ba'alicha. Don't walk too much. Sha'alicha kasha l'einayim. Whatever you do is not good for you. Ella, what you should do is you should split up your time. Shalish be yeshiva, a third of the time you should sit. Shalish b'amida, a third of the time you should stand. And shalish be'ilach, and a third of the time you should walk around. Call yeshiva she'ena masmicha. When you're sitting, if you're not properly supported, and I guess it means if you don't have a chair back or if you don't have a way to properly relax, amida noichem, you're better off standing. Amida saltadaitach. How could amida be better? Amida kasha l'leiv. Didn't we say that amida kasha l'leiv? Ella yeshiva she'en basmicha, sitting down without having a proper support. Rashas come by b'mitois or b'kastrois yeshmicha. Beds that have a back to it, cushions that has support. B'safsal, if you just have a bench that doesn't have a chair back, the chasais and smicha. I'm not sure if the article explains exactly what consists of smicha. I'm assuming like a chair without a back, you can't properly lean back on that armrest. That's called ein basmicha. Sheyesh basmicha. So amida sheyesh basmicha noichem. Standing with leaning would actually be healthier than sitting if you're not properly supported. They also said Yitzchak b'Shimon v'Oishia. These three tzaddikim, Amru Davarecha, they all said the same halacha. And what did they say? Halacha Rabbi Yehuda b'Preidos. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda in the halacha of Preidos. Preidos is a mule, which is a cross between a horse and a donkey. The Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Preidos Shetova. What if you have a mule, female mule that is in heat, that wants to be mezavik, wants to mate? Ein marbin aleh loisus v'loi chamor. You cannot allow it to mate with a male horse, nor with a male donkey, elamina, only a male mule. Why? Because we're not sure if you're choishish lezera ha'av or not. So let's say we know it's this behemoth's mother was a chamor. We don't know if the fact that the father was a sus has an impact or not. So therefore, you're only supposed to. I'm sorry, Klein, yeah. Omer Reb Nachman by Yitzchak. Who is Yitzchak? Because we said these three tzaddikim said this halacha. Yitzchak is Reb Yitzchak Nafcha. Shimon is Reb Shimon ben Pazi. V'amila Resh Lakish, Reb Shimon ben Lakish. And Oishia is Reb Oishia Berebi. Omer Velazar. Amaya Rotzes Edom Chaim. People who are Amaratzim are not going to stand up by Tchias HaMesim. Shinemar, because it says in the pasuk, Mesim Bal Yichyu. And the end of the pasuk is something with Rephoim. Did anybody have the psukim at the side? It says Mesim Bal Yichyu, and it says Rephoim Bal Yakumu. That's right. So Rephoim, if you're lazy from Torah, they won't stand up. Tanya Mehachi, Mesim Bal Yichyu, they won't live. Yachol Lakoil, Tamalim Rephoim Bal Yakumu. Dafa b'merapa atzmai midiver Torah hakasav medaber. If you're lazy from learning Torah, Amalei Rabbi Yochanan, Lanichel Marayu Dekamert Amert Lahu. Hashem doesn't like that you're saying this because He has many wonderful children who are not big Talmid Chachamim, but He loves them, and Avada He's going to make Chis amazing. So Hashem doesn't like what you're saying. Who is the Refoim Bal Yakumu? That's the Merapa Atzmai Lavoid Kachav Mudas. That's someone who did Avodah Zarah. Avada is someone who doesn't learn will have Chis amazing, but someone who goes to Avodah Zarah, he will not have Chis amazing. Amalei, he told him, Mikra Achar Nidarsh, I have another pasuk to tell you that someone who's not a Talmud Chacham will not stand up in Chis HaMesim.
This means
yeah, that's right. The tal oyer is talecha. The tal of the light is your tal, meaning the tal of Torah. The eretz reform, but someone who's lazy from Torah, tapil. And we learn kol mishtamish bar Torah. If you're mishtamish with the Ora Torah, then Ora Torah mechayeyu. That's ki tal oyer is talecha. The tal of the light, your Torah, will be your tal, will be mechayeyu. Because any mishtamish bar Torah, ain't Ora Torah mechayeyu. Even the Chazi, the Kamitz, once he saw that Rabbi Yochanan had a lot of tsar from what he was saying. Rabbi Lozer saw that Rabbi Yochanan had a little problem. It bothered him. How could you say that people who are not Talmidei Chachamim are darker than Chis HaMesim? So Amalei, he said, no problem. Look what he said there. Another answer. Amalei Rebbe, Matzazi Lam Takana. We have an answer. You don't have to learn. Matzazi Lam Takana in the Torah. It says in the pasuk of Atam Adveikim B'Hashem Alekechem Chaim Kol Chamayim. If you're connected to Hashem, you'll live. How could you be connected to Hashem? He's a God. Elo, what does it mean? If you take a son, and if Rashi says if you take their capital and you invest it on their behalf so that they can sit and learn and you make money for them, or someone who allows Talmid Chacham to benefit from his nechasim. People have cottages. They let Rebbeim go to their cottages. People have apartments in Israel. They let Rebbeim use those apartments in Israel. So if you're ki'ilu madbik b'shchina, it's as if you're connected to the Shechina, and that's how you'll be zoichet to Chitz HaMesim. I guess not. You have to love Hashem, we have to be connected to Hashem. Or b'mahana talmidei chacham min chosov ma'il olav akosov kilu medavak b'shchina. Omar B'chi Bar Yosef, asidim tzadikim shemevatzvitzim ba'olam Yerushalayim. The tzadikim are literally going to sprout out of the ground in Yerushalayim. Shenemar v'yotzitzu me'ir ke'esav ha'aretz. They're going to pop up in the city like grass of the ground. Ve'nir el Yerushalayim, and the ear refers to the city of Yerushalayim. Shenemar v'ganoisi el Yerushalayim. I'll protect this city. When the tzaddikim stand up, they're not going to stand up in the tachrichim. They're going to stand up in their stramlich and their beketches. Kavachaymer from a wheat kernel. Machit shenik bararuma. A kernel, when it's planted without any dressing around it. Yoytze b'chamalavushin. When it grows anew again, it comes out covered over with different layers. So tzaddikim shenik bil vushayim. Tzaddikim who were buried with tachrichim. Allah has kama v'kama that they're going to come out with beautiful begadim. Eretz Yisrael is going to grow beautiful loaves of bread, beautiful cakes. Automatically, you're not going to have to make them. And beautiful clothing. I don't know if melas is silk. It is silk. I mean silk. So it's possible. Okay. Shenamar yi pieces bar ba'aretz. So pieces bar means it should be a wide piece. So Rashi says a wide piece would mean like a piece of bread or fine wool. Thunder above. Ye pieces bar ba'aretz b'roish harim. Amru, they said asida chita shetetamer kedekel ba'ila b'roish harim. Eventually, a stalk of wheat is going to be so big, it's going to be like a tree, like a palm tree. V'shemet yesh chala kotra. You might say that's not a mile, that's a chesaron. How are we going to cut it down? Talmud Leimer, you don't have to lift a finger. Yirash kelevana and piryoy. The wind will make a rash like the levana in its peris, meaning Hashem will bring a wind from his storehouses, and will blow the wheat kernels off of the tree. Salta. You don't even have to grind it. You're going to have ready-made flour. Everything's going to be ready to go. The Adam Yoytzer Lasada, a person would go to his field, maybe male pieces yadai. He will just take a handful of wheat kernels, umimeno parnasoso, you parnashes anchabesa. And that little amount will be such bracha, he'll be able to be mefarnish his whole family. Imchelev kilyoy schita. You're going to have kernels that are being fat like kidneys. Amr asida chita. Eventually, one little wheat kernel is going to be so big, shetei kishtei kiloya shel shor agadol. It'll be like the kidney of a big ox. That's how big each wheat kernel. That's the bracha we're going to have. V'altatama, don't think it's so unusual. Shereshuel kinan belefes. There was a fox who dug out in a lefes. I think a lefes is a turnip. He dug out on the turnip to make his nest there. So that's how big the turnip must have been. The fox was making a nest, a den in there. Vishaklu, and then when they took the nest after he finished with it, they found 60 liters of peri besides what was dug out. That's how big the fruits were. Tanya Amar B'Yosef, Maisa B'Sichon, there was a story in Sichon. His father left him over 3 branches of mustard. One of them was cut down. There was 9 cabin, which is a huge amount of mustard. The 8 of them with the leaves of that branch, they were able to make a roof over a hut that was used for people who form things. Amar Reb Shimon ben Tachlifa, Kalach shel kruv v'nich lanu abba. Our father left us over one little stalk of a kruv. A kruv is a cabbage, right? And what happened? We used to have to climb up one stalk with a ladder. That's how big it was. V'dam onav tish techomer. The pasuk in Azinu says that the blood of the grape you'll drink wine. Amuloi loy ka olam hazeh ha'olam haba. Olam hazeh is not anything like olam haba. Olam hazeh yesh b'tzar livtzor. You have to harvest the grapes, v'lidrach and crush the grapes. Ha'olam haba and olam haba. You know what's going to happen? Maybe anva achas b'korn. You're going to take one massive grape. You're going to load it into your pickup truck, and you're going to bring it to your house, and you're going to set it up in your kitchen, or in the ship. You'll just set it up in your kitchen and it'll be like a wine fountain. You'll be able to get enough wine out of that one grape like a big barrel. The eighth of masik and you'll be able to use its wood to heat up your pots. Each grape will have 30 jugs of wine. That's how much each grape will make. Chomer means wine, but we say al turkey chomer el chomer. Chomer is a huge amount. It's a big shear.
30 less.
Chiyas Rav Dimi Amar my dechsiv. It's 6:56, and there's no two dots in sight. So we'll stop here, and we'll start tomorrow from Oishul Gafnira. Tomorrow we only have one Omid. So tomorrow we should really bring our Nadarim Gemaras because we'll probably be able to get a start of Nadarim tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.